Okay, greetings everyone. I'm going to do a quick review about the Boss SP-303, classic sampler that I believe this was released in the mid-90s. And it's a cool sampler mainly because of the effects that it has built onto it. A lot of people will say that this one has a really distinct sound to the sampling as well. It has kind of like a gritty, cool sound to it. So you can record shots. Let's turn up the volume a little bit. A little too much. So those are just some like basic samples that I put in there, and you know, if you want to hear the effects, you probably want to hear a longer sample. So for example, there's like a long ride there. So let's go to effects and we'll go to multi effects, and one that's really cool on a ride is a flanger. So go up here to control and go to 4. So now I've got a cool flange on there, and these knobs will control the parameters. So I have depth, rate, so now I can get a kind of cool swell sound on here. So that's just one of the cool effects on here. One of the other cool things on here is that you have a lot of different ways to sample. You have stereo, lo-fi, you can do reverses on stuff, so I can reverse this. Whoa. So you can reverse samples. And you know, there's many other cool effects rather than just the flanger. You have cool compression. So let's skip to something that has like a loop in here. So let me just find something. So now I've got a looping sample. I can go up to my multi effects again. So let's just try out some of the popular effects, because they have multi effects and like more popular effects. So I can go up to here and go. So now I have my filter drive. Kind of sounds like a chaos pad. And you have a delay. So that's one cool thing you can do in here. There's also, you know, that's a cool delay. The isolator. Let's try another sample. So it's really similar to like a chaos pad in terms of some of the effects on here. The only thing is that you can only access one effect at a time. Like if I want to go back to where I was just at and had this ride. If I go back to multi effects, now if I go up to multi effects again and I switch this, for example, I'm gonna switch this snare. I'll switch it to, what should I switch it to? Reverb. So I go up to here and go multi effects, and I'll switch it to, whoa, pardon me, reverb. So I'm on reverb. So anyways, I've got reverb. Now if I go back to my ride, let's take it off reverse. with the multi-effects. Now my ride is also on reverb. It's not phased anymore, which is kind of annoying because, you know, for example, if I wanted to have like a phaser on my ride and put like a cool reverb on a snare, or, you know, I like to have reverbs and stuff like this on a clave, so it sounds really good. So I can put that reverb on that bass as well, the kick. So and apparently it only lets you put it on one sample, because when I go back to the other one, so that's kind of a downside. I'm not crazy about that. You can do chime stretching on this as well for your samples, so let's go back to some loops. So I can go up to edit BPM. Let's start and stop time BPM. So let's try it. I kind of messed with the start and stop time, so that kind of threw it off. So let's try one more here. So here's another sample, and I'll go into time. So just like any time stretching, it's going to get a little choppy if you really start slowing it down. But I mean, it sounds similar to like the sampling engine of like Ableton, and Ableton's a program that's you can use currently. It's in production, so I would say that when you think about comparing it to modern things, it's not bad. And using the filters on stuff like that on here sounds really good. So let's do one more cool. We'll do a couple examples. So let's go into multi-effects and let's try something else out. So multi-effects and try. Let's try out the ring modulators. That's number 18. Whoa. Mess with the time. So, time. So let's go back into multi-effects. That's the ring modulator. So, kind of cuts out the volume a little bit. Okay. That sample is getting a little old. So, let's go back to... what do you want to do? Let's just do Hall & Oates. So we got Hall & Oates going right there. What else should we try out? Distortion, overdrive, I don't really use them that much. Phaser is cool. Tape echo is really cool, actually. So let's try out the tape echo. Let's go into multi-effects, and we'll go into tape echo. So you can get some cool, like, kind of stuff like that where you can sync it to the beat of the sample you're working with. Something that I like to frequently do. So yeah, that's a really cool one. What else? Fuzz, wah. Compression's cool, actually. The compression on this sounds pretty good. So let's go into that and go into compression. That's number 12. So you get that kind of like fat pumping sound. Sounds really cool on kicks and snares. I mean, you don't get a huge amount of control over the compression, which you can get really easily out of a DAW nowadays. But other than that, it's really cool. What else? Other cool effects on here. Oh, so just like what I did with the ride, you can reverse this as well. Really cool. You want to get some cool intros and outros to your songs and stuff like that. Kind of reminiscent of some of the early Daft Punk stuff, so I like that. So yeah, let's cut that sample. Other than that, what else is there cool about this? So let's go over the features. You've got RCA inputs and outputs. You've got a MIDI input as well. It doesn't have a MIDI out, so you can't use this as a MIDI controller. It's only going to be, sorry, there we go. You have MIDI in, and there your RCA ins and outs. You can't use it as a MIDI controller though, because there's no MIDI out, which is not a big deal. These pads aren't really meant to be a MIDI controller. And why I say that is they're not velocity sensitive. For example, if I go into back to these hits, so if I tap very lightly and then I go, it's the same volume. However, if you do use an external MIDI controller with this, sometimes I use a keyboard. This does take velocity sensitivity, so if you want to get like, you know, more of a articulate sound to your hi-hats and stuff like that, or crescendos or decrescendos, anything like that, it's totally possible. So it's really cool. It's also got a mic input right here, so if you want to use any of the effects on your voice, cool for DJ sets, if you want to, like, you know, do any crazy like reggae stuff with huge echoes on your voice. Meanwhile at the uptown, down, stuff like that. You know what I'm talking about. Okay, one of the really downsides to this thing is that you need to have smart media card. And smart media cards are small, and small in terms of the amount of data you can fit in them. They are hard to come by nowadays, and they're expensive. Luckily, I got this entire unit with a SD card for about 80 bucks. I bought it from a secondhand music shop in Morioka, Japan. And so it was a good deal. 80 bucks. I cleaned it up a little bit. It was a little dirty. Some of the output connections hadn't been used in a while. So, but it was really weird. I think just using it for a while kind of like cleared out some of the dust internally. And I don't mean literally dust. I just mean like the circuits got back to where they should be by using it frequently. Other than that, you can use an external source on here. So that's cool because say if you're just playing records or something like that and you have like a mixer, you could run into this guy and run this out to into your speakers or amplifier or whatever, and use this basically like a chaos pad or like any other effect unit. So that's fun. You can do the same thing with the mic, like I said. Other than that, I think I've covered pretty much everything about it. Now, of course, there are newer versions of this. There's 404 and 505. But a lot of people really like the sound of this sampler. It's gotten a lot of street credit because of its kind of like gritty, cool sound to it. Another thing to keep in mind is that a lot of the older Boss stuff is made in Japan, and this is not an exception. This is, whoa, pardon me. This is made in Japan. I don't know, where does it say it on this guy? There we go. Made in Japan. And so a lot of the newer stuff is not like that. It takes a standard DC input with 1000 milliamps, so getting a power supply for it is not really a big deal. You can pretty much use a lot of Boss power supplies. I'm not sure if the PS120 will work for it, because I'm not sure the milliamp outputs, but anyway, just make sure you have over 1000 milliamps of output to power the thing, and 9 volt, and I believe it's yeah, center negative. So that's it. If you have any questions, I'd be glad to help you out with it. The sampling process is really easy. The only thing I'll say about is getting the start and end points is kind of a pain, because you've got to do it by, like, for example, I'll pull up one of these samples. You go like that, and I have a sample going, and I can do the start and end time like that. And that's basically how I do it. You have to do it all by ear, of course, because there's no way to see the wave. you have no way to see a wave like a MPC or software or anything like that. So for getting that perfect like 4-bar selection, it's kind of hard. It took me a while to like get used to it. Whoa. Let's see. Do I have any other cool samples on here so I can do any examples? Whoa.
Kill it, kill it.
So I guess that's it. If you guys have any questions about it, let me know. I would say if you can find this thing for around $100 and you want to get a cool analog, not non-PC or Mac based, like an actual physical sampler, but you still want to use like Logic or Ableton or Pro Tools or something like that, but you want to have a more gritty sound to your samples, this is a really cool way to go. I was using MPC 1000 and 2000 XL for a long time. And with modern sequencers, especially for me, Ableton, I just couldn't really justify having an MPC to do all of my sequencing, especially because like saving your projects and stuff like that was a pain. But anyways, so what do I rate this guy as from 1 to 10? I would give it let's say a 7. I mean, it's cool, but I'm not gonna say it's like the most end all thing to what you want to do. So I would say $80 to $100. It's a cool deal. Don't spend too much on it. If you find one, try to make sure you get it with a compact flash card, because I'm not compact flash, smart media, because finding a smart media card by itself is a total pain. And also, if it doesn't have a smart media card in it, you don't know if the smart media card reader is actually going to work or not. You have no way to test it. And trust me, getting a smart media card in 2014 is expensive. It's going to be running you another $50. So if it doesn't have a smart media card, you should only be paying around like $40-50 for the thing, because that's going to be your main battle. The power supply is easy, but that smart media card's a pain in the ass. So I guess that's it. Thanks for watching. Have a nice day. Later.